Thanks for joining us today on the What Podcast, helping you to support local, use local and buy local. Letting you know what's happening, what's on and what's on offer in the local area. The What Podcast.
Welcome to the What Podcast. My name is Liam Stone and today's podcast is brought to you by whatoffers.co.uk, the local podcast dedicated to support local businesses. So support local, use local and buy local wherever you are. Today's podcast is sponsored by Carlucci's, the oldest Italian restaurant in Dunfermline. If you fancy some authentic Italian food, then head down to Dunfermline High Street and find Carlucci's for a great service and great food. Or alternatively, you can download their app and you can get up to 50% off your first order and have authentic Italian food delivered to your home. Now, all our sponsors can be found on whatoffers.co.uk and along with thousands of other businesses that you can find there to support your local businesses wherever you are. Now, on today's show, we were supposed to have a local interview coming in, but unfortunately they've had to reschedule at the last minute. So our backup interview is joining us today, David, who is our resident backup interviewee, or as otherwise known, he is the person who edits all our videos. So thanks for joining us, David.
Yeah, no problem.
We're going to have a wee chat today, a bit about David and what he's been up to. And before we get into that, I just wanted to remind you that we've got the What Wednesday Winner competition is coming to a close very shortly. So you've got a few hours left to enter. If you fancy winning 50 quid to spend in any local business, then you can jump over to our Facebook page and all you have to do is mention in the comments a business that you love, and if you win, or if you've chosen to win, you can win £50 to spend in that business that you mention. And you can mention as many businesses as you like and get an entry for each business that you mention. So good luck with that and jump over. 50 quid to spend in a local business.
Oh, I'd love it. I would.
What business would you spend it in?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't actually know. There's too many to pick from. Obviously, being the summer, I don't know if I would actually get to spend it. I think that would be maybe the kids' choice.
Aye. I felt the same. I think my wife would certainly predict where we would spend that money as well. But, you know, obviously, we want to help support local businesses, and we thought, well, you know, let's do a competition where people can choose where they want to spend that money. And whichever local business is obviously mentioned, by whatever person that mentions them, we'll set up for them to have a £50 credit to go into that shop or business or service or whatever it is that they've picked, and at least we know that the local business is getting supported.
Oh, definitely.
Which is the main thing. Obviously, you know, you've come in joining us a few weeks ago, David, and you didn't know who we were or what we did, and you know, that is what we're about, is obviously supporting local businesses as much as we possibly can. So, you know, a few weeks ago when you joined us, compared to now, you now have a bit of an understanding about what it is that we do, and, you know, you've kind of seen us and the reasons why we do it. What do you think of it all?
For me, it's a great idea. What is trying to be done here is fantastic, because I've seen, even going down high streets, it's always the local shops, the smaller businesses that are empty.
Aye.
They're starting to disappear, which
Aye.
I must admit, at the start, I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know what, I kind of walk past some of them, but more when you're here, you're like, well, that's actually a really great idea. Get people spending in local shops, helping local businesses, and, you know, there's some great things you can probably actually find on your doorstep when you don't even think about it.
There's a lot of businesses that people didn't even know about that are on their doorstep, and they might walk past them 100 times, but then, you know, they didn't really notice them, because a lot of the time when we go into High Street, you might have something particular in mind that you're going for.
Aye.
So, you know, you're not really paying attention to what's actually around you. But again, there's a lot of businesses that aren't even on the High Street, you know, because they, you know, whatever the type of business they have might not suit the High Street, or whatever it might be. The High Street might not offer enough space, or it might be too expensive, or whatever it is. So they end up tucked away in industrial estates, or they're running a service business where they can run it for their home or their garage, or whatever it might be. And, you know, they just never get found, you know, and try to find them online is damn near impossible.
Oh, why?
You know, so it is important for local businesses. We see them all the time. Just this morning, someone mentioned to me that it's a local pub called the Haberdashery, which is based in Dunfermline, and somebody said to me that they're shutting, and it was only, I think, about a year or so ago that I spoke to somebody who was involved in a major refurb for that company. So they've done a complete refurb of their pub, spent a lot of money. They got the beer garden done up, and they were just really getting to launch just as they were coming out of the lockdowns that we had, and they've spent a fortune on the place, and now they're out of business.
I think. As you were saying there, lockdown, I think lockdown's played a big part, and this side of lockdown, everything we can move freely. There's kind of certain places you kind of, as you're back to normal, obviously, they still say keep your distance, but this is a great idea for this side of it, trying to help the local, because there has been so many local businesses shut because of COVID.
Aye, I mean, a perfect example was one that was busy, which was the restaurant in town, which was kind of like an all you can eat sort of buffet restaurant. It was the only one we had in Dunfermline, and they bought the building, go all done up. It looks really nice inside. I don't know if you've ever been to it. It was the Kinema, which obviously replaced the iconic building. They tried to keep the name and everything else, and they seem to be in pretty well. We went through lockdown. I know they had a bit of a problem because during lockdown there was a major storm that caused damage to the roof, which I remember it being reported on. It was £60,000 damage to repair the roof. But they had to do that. They had to get the roof repaired, but they were still shut. They still didn't have customers because they were in lockdown. And as lockdown finished and everywhere started to open up, I remember thinking to myself, I thought, it's been ages since I've been to a buffet. I'm going to enjoy going then. And they've never opened back up. And they're actually, now the building's up for sale. They're out of business. And you think, it's such a shame, you know what I mean? Because there's some great local businesses that have disappeared. And a lot of people didn't even realise they've disappeared. But for me, it's not just that the business disappears. It's not just that something that you like to use is no longer available. And okay, it might get replaced by somebody else doing something else, and you might love that as well. But for me, it really comes back down to people, because at the end of the day, that's someone's livelihood, that's someone's lifetime investment, and they've put their savings, they've put their whole life into trying to build something that maybe building a future for themselves, for their family, to put a roof over their family's head, send their kids over to karate classes every week, and all these sort of things. It's just normal people trying to live a normal life and provide a service, and suddenly their life, I feel for the people, because I know what it's like when you put your life into something and it's suddenly taken away from you. That's hard.
Oh, it's got to be really hard. I mean, I never ever done my own business. I never got to that stage, but I was working towards it, and obviously certain health issues myself took me out of it, and then I was gutted. I ended up having to.
Well, yeah, I mean,
pass on to friends.
We've talked about this, because obviously you were a painting and decorator to trade.
Yep.
And obviously you had a health issue that made it so that you could no longer continue that career path.
Aye.
And again, that's a very similar thing. It's almost like the rug's been pulled from under your feet, and suddenly, you've got to get back up and find a new path.
That's it. I mean, COVID's done to so many people. It's unbelievable. And people might get fed up with speaking about COVID, but it has massive, because as you were just saying about the shop, the place is just shutting down 60,000. They're closed, but they've still got to try and find the money to go and fork all this out, and then coming back in. As you said, it starts with people. It starts with people like myself going out and supporting more local shops, going into local shops and spending £5 here and there, or whatever you can.
I mean, we can't always shop local.
No.
It's no everything's on your doorstep. If you need something specific, there's no always a local shop to provide that product. Sometimes you do have to look at your big chains or your national brands, or places, like Argos or whatever, or Curry's, and you just can't find that specific thing in a local shop. But I think the message we want to get across to everybody is that it's just that when you do need to get something, just take a second to think, right, okay, can I get this locally? Can I help to support my community by buying this product or getting this service over somebody that provides it locally? And obviously, if there's no somebody that provides it locally, then fine. You know what I mean? You get it where you need to get it. But if it is possible to get it local, then get it local.
Definitely, get it local is probably one of the best things. I must admit, when I first came here, I wasn't in that frame of mind. I was just probably the same as everybody else. We'll just go, the bigger supermarkets or something like that. So if I was doing shopping, I would go to, say, like Aldi's for one, and then I would jump across to Morrison's for something else, because they didn't have it. But I never ever thought about maybe local grocery stores that might have something. It could be cheaper, it could be,
It's convenience, isn't it?
Aye.
You know what I mean? It's
just
what
what we know.
boils, don't it? And it's that hassle of maybe having to go to one place for one thing and one place for another, where you can just go and get everything all in one place. And that's why we created our platform, was kind of to have everything in one place, to try and make it more convenient to support local businesses. But of course, we've not got every business there. We've got a lot of businesses there, but it's trying to replicate that convenience of finding local businesses that you can support before you go to the national brand. But talking about local, I know for one thing for yourself, obviously you've been at college locally in Fife. You've been studying. This was your new career path that you chose after you were forced to do what you wanted to do in the first place. And you spent a couple of years at Fife College, obviously studying media production. And you've just finished that, so you've got you've done the first 2 years. You've now got the summer holidays coming up. Enjoy a wee break for education. What does it feel like to be the oldest guy in class?
Weird. Do you know something? I'm always one of these kind of people. I'm laid back, relaxed, and I have a good laugh and everything else. And I've never ever felt old, regardless of having kids or anything like that. And then I'm sitting in a college class, and then I'll turn and you get 18, 19-year-olds. When were you born? 1983. When were you born? 2000. As soon as he says 2000, I'm like, wow, I'm old enough to be your dad. And I'm sitting and I'm going,
I can remember a party I was at in 2000. You know what I mean? I can remember I went to a concert when you were born.
I'm like, wow, that puts that kind of side perspective on me. But there's no difference between the college. I mean, quite a lot of people think even changing and going to college at the age of 36. People will think, even myself, I thought, oh, wow, it was a little bit freaky. But when you turn up, it's the vast majority of students at Fife College are classed as mature students. And that's 21 and above. And I'm from right as a high percentage are actually mature students. And there was someone earlier this year that graduated, and I think it was in early education, and I'm sure, if I remember right, she was in her 70s. She was at Fife College. She went back to Fife College to get, qualifications in something she's already done. And I was like, wow.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
There are a lot more mature students, as they call them, going to college now. It's something that I did think about at one point in my life, but I'm guessing when the time came that you had to decide you had to do something else, and you probably thought, right, okay, I need to learn something. I mean, was that an easy thing that you could just go, right, okay, I'm going to go back to college? Or was it something you thought, should I go to college? Should I not go to college? Was that something that took a bit of time to make that decision, or was it pretty easy?
It took time. The way it kind of works out, or it worked out for me, I was put into the situation, so I had to kind of think quick to what, and I knew I had to go and learn something new, because people won't take on somebody at my age. There probably will be companies that will take on somebody at my age and train them up, but the vast majority will turn and go, well, no, we're going to take on somebody younger and, mold them in the way we want it.
Unless you're just doing a general job that anybody can do, you know what I mean?
So I was kind of stuck to start with. I was like, don't know what to do. And then people started saying, well, what do you like? As in, like, what do you mean? Hobbies or anything in your spare time. So I had a think. And then I went to Skills Development Scotland. and they said the exact same thing. I love music, radio, films, TV. I'd sit and watch that. I'll do that in my spare time and everything else. And they're like, well, turn that into a job. And media kept on coming up.
Aye.
And I did think years ago about trying to go into radio and like Kingdom FM, who were in Market at the time. It was like, that's really handy. Look at entry-level jobs there. Was nothing popping up. I'll go down this route. I'm forced into it. Fife College were doing a media course. So I done the NC Broadcast Media for an entry course because it was 20 years since I was at school beforehand. So, yeah, a little bit of time.
A bit different back then as well.
Just a little bit. And then I went from the NC Broadcast Media and I chose radio production, which obviously takes you in throughout radio shows and how to, produce them, present them, the ins and outs of radio stations and radio shows. And it also then started to cover podcasting. The reason why they've started covering podcasting is because podcasting is becoming massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's hence why we are doing this.
It's one of the biggest things now because everybody's loving it, because it's the reason behind for the podcasting being so big is because you can listen to it anywhere. You can download it, you can listen to it on your phone on the way to work.
I think as well, it's just a bit different for listening to music because it's something where you can just listen to, like us, two people having a random conversation, and you might pick up something you like, or you might be listening to a podcast that's specific to a certain thing,
Something you like.
But it's it's becoming hugely popular. We thought we would jump onto it, and it was really to maybe talk about things that were either happening on the platform. We could talk about businesses, we talk about our sponsors, we talk about people that have joined the platform as partners and things like that. And we also talk about events and things. I mean, a couple of events at this week as well I wanted to mention is obviously, we talked about COVID and we talked about lockdowns and things like that. But yesterday it was the NHS's birthday, so it was National NHS Day, which, we've got to get a big shout out to the people in the NHS. We've heard so many stories. I must admit, for me, I remember a couple of times where we thought maybe the kids were getting really ill and we thought, are we going to have to take them to hospital to get checked out? And for me, I just felt it was a really daunting task during lockdown of thinking having to go to hospital for something, because you knew you were going to be going into the one building in your area that had the most amount of infections in one place. So for me, if I was an NHS worker, I don't know. I just think they're really brave doing what they do, especially over the last couple of years. So hats off to them.
Oh, definitely. I mean, my brother's a nurse practitioner and he's worked in the NHS since he's left school. So that was he went doing nursing, and he's told me some stories. I won't put them out, and it shines a different light on this pandemic side of what they actually do. They go up and above and beyond before this. Now this side, you think to yourself when you're hearing the stories, and you're like, wow. The fact that when it first started, couldn't actually, go home to family members and everything else. And then as you were saying, if you want to take people in, you're like, wait a minute, you're a panic, or you can't actually go with someone because they have to go on themselves, and you're like, well, how are they going to feel? And then it was big on mental health anyway, but no,
I know there's been things up and down the country where they said, they could have done better with this and could have done better with that. They could have done a lot better if they had a lot more money to spend. It was one of the things, you know what I mean? But this was new for everybody, what we've had to go through. This was something nobody had experience of.
That's it. This is my opinion. I mean, I've heard people say, no, they could have done better with this and they could have done better with that. And as I said, just my opinion. They can't see what's coming in the future. They've only got to. This is the first time this has happened to us.
That's it.
They're learning as they're going, but they've got to learn quicker than we have. They've got to deal with it. So you're like, you can toss up and turn around and say, well, there could be certain things could have been done better, but it's a new thing. Everybody was just thrown into it.
No, that's it. And the thing is a lot of the decisions are not made by the people who run the NHS or by the people who work in the NHS.
Nah.
They're run by the people that run the country. So, if we're saying things should have been done better, then it starts at the top. You
won't look at them when they come
back.
So,
for me, the National NHS Day for me is really not about supporting or celebrating the NHS as a corporation, because that's the government side of it. For me, it's about supporting and showing thanks to the people who put their lives on the front line, especially in things like what's happened. And it's the people that work in the NHS providing the service to you and me and everybody else. That's the people that we should be celebrating. No, the government side of what is the NHS. Because obviously they're the ones that make the decisions that we should all be blaming when it goes wrong. At the end of the day, the people that provide the service are just doing what they're being told to do, and I think they've done an exceptional job, especially over the last couple of years. Can't be an easy situation for them. So, if you're an NHS worker, I would just like to say thank you and congratulations for obviously the service that you provide. It's much appreciated. On a brighter note, a bit of a fun day coming up tomorrow. If you have ever had that person in your life, now me and you can't say anything, David, because you're married and I'm married. But if you're not married, or maybe if you are, and there's always been that one person you fancied kissing that you've never got up the courage to, then tomorrow it's National Kissing Day. So if you've got that one person you've always fancied kissing, then just make sure you get permission first. But it might be a perfect excuse. And if there's somebody you shouldn't be kissing because you've got a wife like you and me, then just make sure it's an excuse to give your partner a nice big kiss on National Kissing Day. I would ask you if there's anybody else that you fancy kissing other than your wife, but that'll probably get you into trouble.
I probably would. No, it would be. We've kind of going down that. That's a celebrity sign, celebrity crushes, but we're not going down that far.
Aye.
That's getting no chance.
I bet you a fun day. I hope somebody doesn't get into trouble out there because I've told you to go around kissing whoever you want to, but.
Yeah, permission first, always.
You never know. It might be a good excuse to do something. Talk about doing things. Obviously, summer holidays are up, David. You've got obviously a bit of time off of, I would say, school.
That's it. Off of school.
I bet you never thought, getting to the age that you are, that somebody would say, well, you've got 6 weeks off school now, son.
I'm actually, do you know something? I never ever thought I would be back at, in education at this age, but I don't go back till the 19th of September, so I get a little bit longer, but the kids are off. So it's trying to find things for them. I've got an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, so...
Have you got holidays? I mean, you've not mentioned holidays to me. Have you got holidays planned up?
I don't. No, this is a weird thing. My wife's already been away to Dubai this year. That was a big birthday. I won't put her age out just because she will batter me for it. That was a big birthday surprise for her and her sister, so they went and celebrated that.
Right.
My youngest daughter is going down to see her uncle for 2 weeks with my mum. And then my oldest daughter's getting taken away by my sister in October, so I'm the only one that's staying here. I'm not getting a holiday.
Lucky you then.
So, that's it.
Well, you can have a holiday after the summer holidays when you have to go to Sunderland for your university. You can just look forward to that.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm trying to get that planned. So, yeah, okay.
Well, obviously, if you have got anything that you've got planned for the summer, then great. If you're going on holiday, fantastic. We hope you have a wonderful time. If you are like me or David and stuck at home for the next 6.5, 7 weeks and wondering what to do with yourself, you may want to head over to our website, what.live, where you can see an article that we just put up recently, which is the best of the summer festivals in Scotland. So if you fancy a festival, you love your live music, there's some festivals on there across the central belt of Scotland and up in Perth. So you can obviously go get yourself off to a festival. If obviously you are maybe looking for something a bit different, then you can jump onto what offers and go into the what's on section, and you'll find various different days that you can find quirky things that you can celebrate, like National Kissing Day. And there's also some stuff up there for Alhambra and various other places. But just one thing I wanted to note is if you do have kids, I don't know if you've seen this, David, but if you do have kids and you want to keep them active, then one of the things you can do is you can jump over to the Fife Council website. And if you just, we'll put a link in the description, but you can go into the Super Summer part of the website, which has got loads of activities, and they're all community use activities throughout the whole of Fife, so you can search it by area and see all the different activities that are coming up. Some of them are even free, and they're great if you've got kids, that are young age, You want to keep them occupied. You want something, because let's face it, you don't want them sitting at home for the next 6.5 weeks.
No.
And if you've not got a holiday planned, you need to find something for them to do. So, this may be a great resource for you to find local stuff for your kids to get involved in.
That's it. I mean, we were speaking before this, and I was saying to you, like, was it a pound?
Nah,
swim
quid a kid.
Quid a quid. But that's what you told me. I only thought it was for the swimming. You've actually just told me it's like across quite a few other things as well.
It's any of the 5 leisure centres. Basically, the my kids are quite active. They play badminton a lot. My son goes to the gym. My daughter loves swimming. But we had got them memberships for different things, but the memberships don't cover badminton. So even during the off-peak, or during I think they describe it as peak times actually at this time of year, but when the kids are off school, it's quid a kid, and that covers them for everything. So you can, if you want to go swimming, you can fine. But like my kids, they'll get the badminton court for an hour, so they just pay £1 each. It covers everything. So no matter what your kids are up to, whether it be 5-a-side football, or whether it be basketball, or playing badminton, or going swimming, or whatever it is they want to do, or if your kids are over 14, they want to go to the gym, I think the gym's also included, but it's a quid a kid for everything. So it's a good time to keep get the kids active if obviously you've not got a holiday planned.
Peace and quiet for an hour. You can sit in the cafes in some of the places and have some of a coffee or whatever it is. That kind of
a lot of the leisure centres have a library attached or stuff like that as well. In Dunfermline, you've got the library at Dullock Leisure Centre, so you can drop the kids in, you can go and sit and read a book in the library, or whatever it is you fancy doing, or you can go and sit in McDonald's or whatever for an hour if you just want an hour to yourself. An hour in McDonald's without the kids, that actually sounds pointless actually.
Oh, tell me about it, it does.
I think an hour in maybe a coffee shop or something like that would probably be more appropriate. Or maybe you just fancy putting your feet up and doing nothing for an hour. Do absolutely nothing. I think that's what I normally do when my kids are busy. It's a time where I can just put my feet up and actually do nothing. My wife would probably argue that that's what I do most of the time, but
Same. I think that's a general kind of thing, to be fairness.
Well, we'll put some links in the description, obviously, where you can find all the different activities over the summer holidays. And hopefully, if you've got something that you fancy doing, then hopefully we can help you find it. Now, we just want to say thanks for obviously listening or watching today. We're going to be back on Thursday for the second part of our chat, so please join us there, where we're going to be chatting a wee bit more about what we do, and chatting with David as well. If you would like to be featured on the podcast, or come in and have a chat and tell us about what you're up to, if you're a local business and you want to talk about something that you're doing, or you run a local charity, or if you've got classes coming up and maybe you run a club or something like that, you want to talk about over the summer holidays, then drop me an email at liam@whatoffers, and we'll look at maybe getting you in if you've got something you want to chat about, or maybe you're just a local consumer, or a local resident that you want to bring something up or chat about something or whatever, or you want to be part of the podcast. Give us a shout and let us know. Be great to have you in, and obviously see what you've got to say. But for now, thank you very much for watching. My name's Liam, and thanks for joining us, David.
No problem.
And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Remember, whatever you need, head over to whatoffers.co.uk or what.live to see more of our podcasts, and join us again to see what's up next.